This is Matthew Kratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to welcome you to a very rare toxic Bitcoin Thursday. The reason we're doing this Thursday is because today is the 16th anniversary of the publication of the Bitcoin Whitepaper back on October 31st of 2008. So I thought it might be fun to do something like a toxic Bitcoin Thursday. First advice today, never trust an economist or investment strategist to give you good investment advice. This is Robin Brooks. He's a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute and former chief FX strategist at Goldman Sachs. So you think he would know something about investing, but unfortunately this man missed out on the greatest investment opportunity of his lifetime while actively warning everyone else against it. This is Robin Brooks on March 14th, 2023. So it turns out that Bitcoin is just another bubble asset that blows up when the Fed gets serious about hiking interest rates. Zero store of value function, zero diversification benefit, zero yield. Sayonara Bitcoin. This was back in March 2023. Bitcoin trading at 25,000. Pierre Rochard asking a couple days ago, is there an updated version of this chart? Please refresh this chart if possible. So it looks like that's some work that Robin Brooks needs to do. In response to my video yesterday, buy a house or Bitcoin instead, we had BitLong 4669 saying the Palm is sinking, talking about Palmyra in the Palmyra development in UAE, I believe. Land is real, whereas Bitcoin is a bunch of useless hash codes that people just decide to pay money. They can just as much undecide to do so. NFTs and other chains should be a cautionary tale for BTC. My response, everyone gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. Maybe you got something wrong since Bitcoin currently has a value above 1.3 trillion. At this point, people should at least try to steelman the case in favor of Bitcoin, considering how long Bitcoin has been trading above the $1 trillion market cap. BitLong responded, yep, tulips were worth a house at 1.2, so just because Bitcoin has high valuation now doesn't mean it can change on a whim. It certainly did so before. I'll more into buy low, sell high. BTC trying to beat its high again. Last time it failed. Well, it actually hit new highs this time. I'd rather play it safe and take profits now. Will buy back in if BTC can show it can manage to reach new heights. I treat it just like any other shiny object people are willing to pay for. So it's unclear here. He says he likes buying low, but he's going to buy back in if Bitcoin can manage to reach new heights. So I'm not quite sure how that works. My response to him, the tulip bubble lasted about 1 year. Bitcoin has been in a quote-unquote bubble for 15 years. At what point is it no longer a bubble? I remember people even in 2012 calling Amazon a bubble. Quote-unquote, taking profits on Bitcoin equals converting the world's best money into crappy fiat money. And then Philippe 8226M, bro, you aren't credible, lol. A month or two ago, you were talking about BTC crashing, and our high was in March. That's it. My response, nope, never said that. I never talk about highs or lows being in. Also, if you want to be credible, learn how to spell basic English words. BitLong posting again, it looks like, and it's down from the time you posted. I was saying Bitcoin 71,000, and then of course it went on to 73,000, but I guess it briefly went below the price on my thumbnail. My response to him, you put the high in high time preference. BitLong 4669 again, who could I buy a house from in Bitcoin? Once I can buy food and normal daily items with Bitcoin, I'd be fully on board. Right now, it's no different than any other gambling type investment. My response, there are lots of places you can buy a house using Bitcoin. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'll show you the link. If you wait until you can buy everything with Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will be above $1 million. This is important if we take a look at how this worked with Amazon, for example. Back in 1997, you heard people saying Amazon sells only low margin items like books. I'm going to wait until Amazon is selling everything in the world to everyone all over the world. Then it will be safe to buy in. Unfortunately, this is not how investing works. You have to get in ahead of the trend, ahead of the accomplishment actually happening. And this is, of course, what happened with Amazon. I like to call this the Wayne Gretzky investing advice. his famous saying, I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. So this is very important when it comes to investing. You have to be ahead of the curve, and you have to look at where things are going. Once they get there, the news, the fundamentals will be fully priced in. And so if you wait until the whole world is using Bitcoin, you're going to be paying north of $5 million or something like that per Bitcoin. Everyone does get Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. And in terms of where can I buy a house using Bitcoin, here's a beautiful beachfront house in La Libertad in El Salvador, asking 1.5 million US dollars, preferably Bitcoin as a payment. Seems a little bit on the pricey side for El Salvador, but on the other hand, it is oceanfront. Looks like a very large lot and a beautiful flat property. So you can buy real estate and houses using Bitcoin. It's all over the internet, really. I'll link to this website as well, where you can buy one-bedroom terraces in Monaco using Bitcoin. And they seem to have a lot of properties on here you can buy or sell using Bitcoin. And then, of course, there's the BTC map, where you can find merchants all over the world that will sell you stuff in exchange for Bitcoin. Another response to my video on buying a house versus buying Bitcoin. It's a good video, but you really do tend to exaggerate. You'll, quote unquote, you'll be lucky to break even. I rented properties and you were right about all these issues, but with sensible planning, you should be able to make a decent profit. And so just to clarify, what I was saying there is I meant not that you won't make a nominal profit on your investment property, on your rental, but you won't be able to keep up with inflation. Your purchasing power will not keep up, even though you may have a nominal fiat profit. How about paying off the mortgage early versus buying Bitcoin? Another sort of financial dilemma. My response, all else equal, if it were me, I would buy Bitcoin instead of paying off a mortgage. For this to make sense, you have to assume that Bitcoin will go up on average annually more than your annual mortgage rate. So assuming you have the money to pay monthly mortgage payments, let's say the rate on your mortgage is something like 5, 6, 7, 7.5%, where it seems to be now. As long as you're confident that Bitcoin's going to go up at a faster rate than the rate on your mortgage, so 5, 6, 7, 7.5%, then it does make sense. Someone else in this comment section, they ended up in this thread ended up deleting their comment, but they basically said, isn't it a good thing to get out of debt? Don't you want to get out of debt? My response to that was, debt can be a very useful tool. It's a way of shorting fiat by paying off the loan later with depreciated fiat. All wealthy people I know have some debt by choice. And so there are conservative ways to lever up your portfolio, as we spoke about yesterday, where, for example, you could take out a mortgage for a house, take out a little bit more money than you need so that you can accumulate Bitcoin as well. Austin Frazier, 7325. Matt, in a similar spirit to this video, what are your thoughts on dividend stocks? For example, SCHD, which is a Schwab dividend ETF. What are your thoughts on dividend stocks versus Bitcoin over 10 plus years? So put 100K into both. 100K in SCHD is projected to be something like $5,000 a month in 25 years. Of course, you need to do an inflation adjustment for that. That's probably not going to be that much. If you reinvested the dividends for 25 years, I could be off some, but several investing channels have used that example. My response, dividend stocks can never completely preserve your purchasing power at these levels because the yields are only about 3%, while true inflation is much, much higher. Even capital appreciation of those underlying stocks won't get you there. And I did end up looking up this ETF. It actually has done fairly well over the past 10 years, 11.7%. So these things are possible, but there's no guarantee that the underlying constituents of dividend ETFs will be able to raise their prices to keep pace with inflation and keep their margins in line. And this is the great risk, especially if we enter a much higher inflationary regime. Bitcoin will do a much better job of protecting your capital. The self-storage guy here saying, gotta love how your Bitcoin never calls asking you to fix something. Again, this comparison between owning a rental and owning Bitcoin and the nightmares that come with owning a rental. Bitcoin never calls asking you to fix something or to tell you that your insurance has gone up or that your property tax has gone up or that the hurricane just came through and wiped it out. So that's one nice thing about having digital property like Bitcoin. Lance Hughes 2148, at some point in this video yesterday, at the beginning I mentioned this saying, happy wife, happy life. Lance Hughes responded, happy wife, happy life is the lamest stuff I've ever heard, especially in today's world. My response, are you married? And it doesn't sound like, sounds like crickets at this point. MAFP22W. Can anyone explain to me the difference between Bitcoin and a Ponzi scheme? How is it different than any other fiat currency? How is it different than physical silver or gold? My response, a Ponzi scheme is run by a centralized scammer. By contrast, Bitcoin is decentralized and not controlled by anyone. Bitcoin has a fixed maximum supply of 21 million coins, while fiat has a potentially infinite supply. Fiat does not hold its value, its purchasing power, while Bitcoin does hold its value. Bitcoin is money for the 21st century digital age. Physical gold and silver cannot be sent over digital communication channels and also don't have fixed supplies like Bitcoin does. So a little bit of a review there for beginners. His response or her response: are you familiar with the economic principle of substitution, when similar products can be substituted for each other when the price gets too high for one? If so, how come someone can't substitute one digital currency for another? It seems that Bitcoin has limited supply, but the number of digital currencies is unlimited. Am I seeing this wrong? If so, how? What am I missing? My degree was in economics. My response: every Bitcoin substitute is inferior to Bitcoin itself. So you really can't switch to a substitute when prices get high. No other crypto is as decentralized with an immaculate conception. This history matters very much. With a very high hash rate that protects the network using proof of work. Bitcoin also benefits from the Lindy effect. The longer it's been around, the more likely it's to be around. First mover advantage and network effects. Bitcoin has no competitors except for gold, which is inferior as non-digital money, and also inferior because its supply doubles every 30 or 35 years. Spirit Man asking a question: I've recently switched jobs after 6 years of employment. I considered withdrawing my 401k to spend on Bitcoin. Could you comment on this if you have time? And my response was, there are two great ways to do it. You could do this with Unchained. They have a Bitcoin IRA that you could roll into, and Swan does as well. You could also check on Strike and River. I believe they have these products as well. I like this quote from Ava: we should be the ones knowing everything about the government, not the other way around. This is really great. We are private citizens. They are public servants. We pay them in the form of insanely high taxes, yet they treat us like potential criminals who need to be monitored 24/7. Why accept that? And this is why Bitcoin is so important. This is why it's so important that we win. We are winning. Apropos, the biggest daily inflow ever for IBIT is what pushed the US spot ETFs over the 1 million Bitcoin held mark. Yesterday, having IBIT flows, the Bitcoin spot ETF from BlackRock, having flows of 875 million, combined with the news that MicroStrategy is announcing a plan to raise $42 billion to buy more Bitcoin. This will be $21 billion worth of debt and $21 billion worth of equity over the coming few years. And this is approximately equal to its current market cap. So these are quite large numbers. This is, of course, why we need to win. This probably merits its own video. We've been talking about the dangers of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, for many years now. But now the US Treasury coming out, Janet Yellen coming out. Of course, she might be kicked out in a few months, but Janet Yellen saying that stablecoin should be replaced by a CBDC, that the stablecoin market is buying up too many T-bills, obviously referring to Tether. U.S. Treasury Department is concerned about the growth of the stablecoin market and believes privately issued stablecoins like Tether should eventually be replaced by state-backed central bank digital currency, according to a Treasury report released Wednesday. So this is something definitely to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, thank goodness we do have Bitcoin. And so I wish you a very happy Bitcoin Whitepaper Day. And I just want to say thank you, Satoshi. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.